Did you know that it was originally intended for survivors to actually parkour and jump through things in the early access of DBD? That's pretty crazy. Kings and queens, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. We are looking at the top 5 Easter eggs and secrets of Dead by Daylight that you probably didn't know. If you do enjoy, leave a like down below and subscribe. We're trying to hit 150,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so make sure you guys are subscribed down below. Over 70% of you guys are not, so please double check. Shout out to our Twitch as well, and our Discord is now open. Feel free to join. All right, let's jump on in to these things. Our first Easter egg is that Ace actually has a large gash and stitch marks on his stomach. Now, you can't actually see this in-game whatsoever, considering Ace has no topless cosmetics, but in the game files, all the survivors have these topless cosmetics. Of course, some of them are covered up, and if you take a look at Ace's, you can actually notice this big gash that he has. Now, we don't really know why this is here, and there's been a lot of rumor speculation, but we kind of put a good theory together by putting 2 and 2. To fill you in, Ace, as we know, is a big-time gambler, and sometimes when you're gambling, you may get into a lot of debt. So this possibly could mean that he sold his kidney or some sort of organ in order to pay off debts or maybe even to gamble. I even asked Matthew Cote this question in one of our interviews, in our quickfire ones, and he passed in the question and gave a giggle. So not too sure exactly if this was an intended feature and they wanted to expand upon this on the lore or something like that. But nonetheless, it is in the game files, and Ace does have this giant gash or stitch marks or scar, I should say, on his stomach. And one can only assume that it had to be used to take out an organ. If that sounds too far-fetched, it could just be a surgery or anything like that, but still something that you probably didn't know. The next Easter egg or secret that has been plaguing me for years and years are the unreleased teacher files. If you've been on the wiki before, you may have stumbled across the teacher files, and this has been in the game for a very, very long time. This was supposed to be the first DLC to ever happen, and supposedly was supposed to release in August of 2016. During this time, the community were able to get into the game files, and what they discovered was a new survivor item called the Trapple, a new killer power called the Tension, and a new killer perk called Underperform. We also had all of the icons for this, but we never really realized what it was used for. Eventually, the new killer turned out to be the nurse, and the teacher files remained unused and unsolved. And that was that. I then proceeded to interview Matthew Cote at Comic-Con and ask him about the teacher files, and he didn't really say much. And then we had an anniversary. I believe it was the 4th year anniversary, and we saw that Sarah, one of the developers, re-brought this idea back as she was more responsible of this and kind of teased the teacher files. I then asked Matthew Cote again a year later in our interview, and I asked him, when will the teacher files be used? And he replied with, they haven't been used already? ? I forgot about it again, and then in the 6th year anniversary, we had the same thing with Sarah and the teacher files. So what exactly is going on with these teacher files? The Trapple, the Tension, Underperform? Are they just reused things and they've been in the game this whole time? Is it just an ongoing gag? We don't really know. Maybe one day in the future, we could get a teacher coming into DBD. I know I sound as crazy as Polyester with his Candyman theory, but a teacher coming into the game, you never know. The only things that I can really associate everything with is, number 1, the Trapple and the Apple. I would put with the Plague because of the Apple, the Tension, and the Ruler. We know that the Legion has a ruler weapon on one of the skins for Susie. And as for Underperform, I really can't correlate it with anything else. Maybe it's just an action that slows you down, but who knows? Nonetheless, this unreleased character still plagues me to this day, and I still have no idea exactly what it means. The next thing we have on the list might be a little bit more well-known among the community, but if you recently started playing DBD or you played after the Lambkin Lane update, you may have not have known about this. And those are the golden toolboxes and secret rooms dedicated in DBD. So this all started off in Haddonfield, and if you took a look at the old Haddonfield, you'd actually be able to see a golden toolbox right under a picnic table. At first, a lot of people thought that they could pick this up and it would make a generator be repaired instantly, kind of like the very old school brand new parts, but that wasn't the case. It was just kind of there. Upon exploring some of the other maps, we started to notice that there were also some golden toolboxes. According to some of the developers, the golden toolbox doesn't exist, even though it actually is there. It's kind of been an ongoing gag. Since then, it's been a very elusive treasure hunt to find the golden toolbox on all of the maps. We spend hours upon hours checking a lot of maps, especially on Hawkins, RPD, and other maps in order to find this golden toolbox. All in all, it's just a treasure hunt, and it's a fun little Easter egg that the developers put in for the devoted players to really kind of find it. Over the years, it's become harder and harder to find, notably in Hawkins. You have to actually trigger the endgame collapse. The same with Midwich. You have to trigger endgame collapse in order to see it. Even on Dead Dog Saloon, there's a specific timing only that you can see this golden toolbox. And a big shout out to Polyester, because he's the one that always looks for this, and everyone goes to him with the information on if they ever found the golden toolbox. So what does that mean for secret rooms? Well, if you never got a chance to play on Hawkins before it was removed from the game, there was actually an area where the basement would spawn. However, when the basement doesn't spawn there, it's just a blank area. If you actually use the nurse, however, you were able to teleport into that specific room. Upon teleporting into that specific room, you'll see a bunch of dead scientists with a bunch of beer bottles, and a lot of people didn't really know what this meant. We looked around and eventually we did figure it out. There was a whiteboard on the left-hand side, and if you take a look at the whiteboard, we see that it says EGC, meaning endgame collapse, or that's how we were to find the golden toolbox. We also see that there is a symbol for gold, and then you would notice that there's a bunch of other things, and basically it translates to polyester as a reference to Polyester, my very, very good friend, since he has found pretty much all of the golden toolboxes. So it was a nice little shout out to him, and the developers decided to be so sweet to put that into the game. There's also other secret rooms on Midwich, notably, where you can actually open up this gate. You can see all the cool Midwich stuff. You have to pop generators in a specific order. We attempted to do this, trying to find the golden toolbox that way. It didn't work. Again, it was another endgame collapse thing, but that is basically the golden toolboxes and the secret rooms. Another cool Easter egg comes from the Yamaoka Estate map. If you actually head over to this map, you'll notice a lot of odd looking skulls. They're just kind of round, they're sitting little statues, and they don't really mean much. However, if you walk by them and you take a glance around, you'll notice that these statues are actually like weeping angels. Their heads turn and they stare at you no matter what direction you go into. It is a really fun and unique Easter egg, and you probably didn't notice it if you're just running around the map. You would never bat an eye to take a look, but as you can clearly see, these statues follow you everywhere you go, like weeping angels, which is kind of cool. I don't know if there's any other Easter eggs that are similar to this one, but this is the first one of objects essentially moving in DBD that I can think of. I'm sure maybe I'm mistaken, and you guys can think of other ones, with the exception of pallets and things like that, but you know what I mean. It's really, really interesting, and it's pretty cool, to say the least. The final thing that I have for you guys that's more of a secret than really an Easter egg is that looping was unintentional. Looping was never a thing that developers decided to do. The game of Dead by Daylight was originally meant to just be hide and seek. You hide from the killer, you use all the pallets and vaults to escape as much as you can, and eventually that transformed into looping. If you're a very OG player to DBD, you would even know that this was considered an exploit way back in the days, especially with the infinite loops before Bloodlust was even incorporated into the game. We noticed because they specifically said that, and there's also prototypes of Dead by Daylight gameplay of where survivors are actually just meant to hide and stay away from the killer, and the killer is not meant to see them. It's meant to be a big hide and seek type of game. Eventually, when Dead by Daylight did come out, people started to realize that if you run around certain objects over and over and over, the killer cannot actually catch up to you. This is around the time when I started playing a lot of killer, and I had to switch back to survivor because it was literally impossible. I remember a long time ago, this was very cringe and very weird, but in my profile, a lot of people used to click on Steam profiles, I actually put that I was one of the players that doesn't loop. I am an OG player, and I will play the way the game is meant to play. I won't run around infinite loops, or the killer cannot catch me whatsoever. Eventually, Dead by Daylight realized that there was no way to actually combat this besides changing the entire game, and even if they did, there'll just be a bunch of unsafe pallets all around, so they embraced looping altogether. They smoothed the edges out, and they made it so that there weren't as crazy infinite loops where the killer cannot catch you whatsoever, and they made it so that the loops are strong, but not as strong as they used to be, still giving a killer a chance to catch you. But that's crazy to think about. Imagine if Dead by Daylight went the other way and they said, you know what, we're just removing all the pallets. This is going to be a super duper big game of hide and seek, and we will see exactly what happens. But there you go, my friends. Those are 5 secrets that you possibly didn't know about Dead by Daylight. Pretty fun to say the least. I really like making these videos, and I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, we'll make another one and we can talk about some other secrets. There are a ton of Easter eggs in DBD and a lot of things that have been changed from the past that we can talk about. But that is going to do it for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. As always, I'm the King. Make sure you subscribe down below. Check out our Twitch channel. And don't forget, our Discord is now open to the public. Link in the description. As always, I'm the King. I tip my crown to you guys. And we'll see you in the fog.